Alright, and we're back, man.
Alright, so these top three, you'll have a lot more to say about than I will.
Did you get it?
No,
a lot of people got Final Fantasy 13.
I rented it back, when we still had a Blockbuster. And from what I played, in my rental time, I liked it, and I just never went back to it.
It ends up losing people. Even if they like it, they quit. And that's really all Square's fault, because by the time they had up to this point only been really on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And so I don't remember if PC, I don't think PC port was ready. And when they released it on PC, they fucked it up. Of course they did. But a lot of people who had gotten Xboxes or, or just PlayStations, this was the time, this was their first chance, because, here's Final Fantasy. Not many. How many did you play? I know we played 5.
Well, okay, so it was well after the fact. This was first, flea marketing days, going to Bound Junction. I picked up and should have kept Final Fantasy 1 on NES. I didn't really get into it because, again, at the time, I wasn't really into RPGs. Same. This goes for shooters too. KOTOR was really my big,
your introduction,
really big thing. Where then I'm like, okay, RPGs are pretty cool, and that opened the floodgates. Same thing, like shooters, Halo.
Yeah,
Halo was my gateway, because growing up, we always had piece of shit PCs, couldn't run anything like Doom and stuff like that. So trying to use a mouse and keyboard, I don't know what the hell that is. Halo just clicked with me. So pretty much the one that we played, which you're gonna have to remind me for the 20,000th time. Final Fantasy V.
You get street cred alone just by going through 5. Even though me and Jason did it together, we did play it together, because you could do that on the Super Nintendo ones. You could, and on 5 and 6, you could even allocate which character. I don't know if the Japanese 4 might have where you can allocate who gets which character, but on the, at least on the United States Final Fantasy 2, both controllers work. So even then, I was trying to play, get people into Final Fantasy, and the way to do it was just, hey man, you're my wingman. You run the shotgun.
And I mean, it took us like a month or two to go through that.
Yeah, just playing 5 or 6 hours at a time.
Yeah, we had to do our grinding and everything, but yeah, I had an absolute blast playing that one. I can't remember. I didn't play. I want to say maybe 13 was the only one I played after that.
Yeah.
I didn't do 10.
10 was, if you had a PlayStation 2 early on, 10 was the big game everybody waited for. Until then, you played, what was it? Wasn't the bully? The bouncer? Which the bouncers ended up actually being shitballs, but it's like, but 10 was one of the first big releases on PS2. And, dude, it was awesome. And you had the early voice acting. It's kind of rough these days. It took a long time to bring out 12. Of course, 11 was on the online one. And so you needed the modem and the hard drive and all that jazz to play online. I think a lot of people over here probably played it on PC. Okay. But then you had 12 released late in the PlayStation 2 generation. And so 360 had been out for several years. I think this game came out in 2009. Don't quote me on that. But it's a graphical spectacle. It's one of the best games looking on 360. If somebody released that today, just in 4K, 60 frames, people would not even know that that's a generation old game. Final Fantasy 13 looks so fucking good. Of course, the problem is it's all skybox, and it's really just running down the corridor. I think if they didn't have the map there, people wouldn't see that they're just running in a straight line. But that's what pissed off a lot of people. Even though Final Fantasy X is very damn linear in and of itself, there's like very little, like go off to the side and find a goodie over here. There's almost hardly any of that. Yeah. And people bitch about towns. I don't particularly care about talking about the dumbasses in town, but I guess it's the atmosphere of trying to create a world. One of the problems with Final Fantasy is each one is majorly different in like the world. They'll use the Tactics world. I think it's Avarius a couple of times. The Final Fantasy Tactics world, which would be 11, 12, Tactics. It might be 14 as well. It happens in Avrius, which is one world. The stories even then don't connect. There's no like, yeah. But so you have to establish Final Fantasy 13, and the way they do it is like she's going to get and run on a train with a black guy. Cloud says, "Hey." She's just the female Cloud. That's all. That's literally the intention of doing it.
That's hey, passing off the mantle.
Yeah, and then they have to run away, and so they're going to get this. There's like they get kind of cursed, is what I would say, without spoiling too much, and they have to go and do the bidding of the Foul Sea or whatever it is, and you're in a kind of like a hurry, but you know they don't have much time to develop the world. And so what they've done, which
that's ringing a bell now.
And so they put a fucking giant glossary so that you have to read about what the fuck is going on. Because they just jump in the story. You don't know what the hell's going on. There's been no build-up. Then they do, I think it's something where they have like 13 days of backstory. As you go in, they'll show you something. So you'll see why Sarah and Snow get together and all of this other dumb shit. It's told back to back, but you're freaking 20-something hours in before you have any idea of really what you're doing besides go and get Sarah or whatever it is. And and there's no towns. Weapons is largely like, okay, well, you kind of get a weapon at the start. And it's like, oh, well, this one's like 25% more commando than this other one's like 10% ranger or whatever, and that's your choice. And after that, you just kind of upgrade the same weapon, and so you don't have much gear.
Okay.
And you know, also all the Final Fantasy characters, they don't wear their gear, but you know, this at least the weapon would be different. And so you know, you'd have Cloud with like the Cloud Buster at the first, and then you would get some samurai swords or bats. It gets variety, but you know, they get stuck with the same shit. And another big problem is you had this cool, I can't remember the name of the actual combat. The active time combat is the key, and that's what makes that game good.
Yeah. I remember having fun with that.
You would switch through the stances, remember? And then some of them will be defense. They would try to draw the Argo. Some of them would heal, and you'd have stances you can switch on. They don't give you options to actually have control of your stance till like, I don't know, 10 hours in the game. They treat you like an idiot. You start off with attack and potion, and that's it. And so they're just stringing your ass along on this linear path, and people were like, they're just done with it, and they just think the game sucks. I liked it. The combat, trying to get the best. There's a stagger mechanic, and so kind of like the rage modes in like Monster Hunter. When the monster's in rage, it's hard to hit him because he's going ape shit. It's like you stagger the enemy, and then that's when you do your damage. And so you would try to build up your combo on Ravager, and then switch to Commando to do damage. And there's all these little techniques and stuff in there. And that's what makes the game good, is the actual combat. Everything else from the story, well, the graphics are good and the sound. Yeah. But all of the other shit that you would associate with RPG is just non-existent or half-assed or halfway done. Just there's no real end game. And you don't get to go and just kind of grind out and get your own monsters until about 30 hours in. And that's when people quit. And to this day, the only person I know in person who's beat it except me. I loved it. I actually went through, again, it's like, okay, I just have to be a lightning fangirl. That's what it is. It's like, I'm just all about lightning. And then I played through it again. I still liked it. That's, so it's the Black Sheep. And Final Fantasy 15, everybody gave it reviews like, well, at least it's better than 13, or this is amazing. And no, it got all these hype reviews from people who just wanted to shit on 13, but it's actually way worse. It's way worse. The load times, the stories like makes no fucking sense. You have to read cartoons and watch other movies to figure out the story. Yeah. And so the fatal flaws that 13 made, 15 just face plants it and does the same fucking thing. Except that without the combat, you literally on 15 you just smash circle and it's sometimes square. If you die, it doesn't make a difference. As long as you have potions, you can bring yourself back to life. So you're immortal. It just wasn't, dude, that game was sucked. It's like, oh, well, it's good now. It's like, I buy it day one. I want it to be good day one. Yeah. You have a high expectation, and it isn't. Now, Final Fantasy 13 too. Okay, so they heard all the criticisms. So there's towns every fucking where. You can go and do whatever you want. you got a little Pokemon system where you got Sarah and Noel, and then like the third slot is for like a Pokemon. It's a monster you catch, and of course to be dicks because Square's dicks, they're going to put other big characters like Lightning. You could have Lightning back in your group. You better pay $5 and then do this little endurance fight, you know, for a chance to win her, so that she could be your Pokemon, of course. Wow. And on top of that, this is the back in the day where you had to buy the DLC to get the real ending. It's fucking face plant right here.
I didn't know all that.
Yeah. This shit right here, where she's wearing this armor and stuff, that isn't how the game works. Sarah's the main character. So they put Lightning on there to sell copies, but she's like the avatar of Eden or some shit, and she's been fighting a fight for 1,000 years because, of course, we're gonna make Lightning God now. I don't know, to make sure that she's better than Claude.
But why not?
And you have to fight. I forgot the guy's name. He always has the same voice actor of all evil guys ever. Is done by that guy, and then but he's forgettable, honestly. And then you got to fight him or something. That's the only you could be Lightning with the shield for a DLC against one fight. Still, this is a pretty good game. It's just like where the fuck do I go next game? You're trying to piece back together time itself or whatever. You're going back through time, and Noel's the last human on Earth, and other weird shit. And you try to piece back the time continuum. And the way this game comes out, they're talking about the falsies and Bartanian and all that other shit. It was in Final Fantasy 13. They don't even pretend like it doesn't exist, because this is fan fiction. This is official fan fiction made by Square. Lightning's a goddess, okay, and she's an armor bitch. So it's actually a pretty good game. Then we're gonna do fan fiction for our fan fiction, Jason. Okay. Now, not only is she the avatar, she's been alive since the beginning of time, and she has to kill Buddha at the end.
Wow.
This is the one where it's just one character, and it's kind of has a Legend of Zelda feel, where you can just go back in the world.
Okay.
You're at it's kind of like Majora's Mask, where you have like 7 days to save the world. I failed on the first time. I had to go do the 7 days again. But you get to carry your shit over. And there's 4 main worlds. One of them's like an entire city. And you're going through and you're solving little quests, mini quests, a lot of mini games and side stories. And then like usually 1 or 2 big quests for each town. And you have the dress mechanic. I don't know if you remember where she changes dresses and stuff. Yeah, that's where that's kind of replaces the defense stance. So you might have a defense base, like a Valkyrie setup that's like defense, and then you might have an attack one. But of course, you know, Square owns Tomb Raider, so there's a Tomb Raider fucking set and all that other shit. And that's actually a pretty good game. The frame rate on 360 is shit balls. I would like to play through that again one day. But boy, that the story just goes ape shit retarded, and it's just stupid. It makes no sense. It's like they want to make a whole nother game just with the characters from the first one that they already have animations and shit for it. It's bizarro.
I want to say, I think I remember we were hanging out and you were on some big ass boss battle, and then like, oh hey, let's go get food. And it's like, hold on, I got to pause right here, and I think you said it was like a 10-hour damn boss fight or some shit. You know, not too much exaggeration there, but.
It might have been. I think we're talking about Bahamut, because you fight Bahamut at the end.
Okay.
And in both of these games, all of these games are fairly. They put the difficulty in. But in the last 13.2 and Lightning Returns, they it's like a huge DPS check or whatever, and it's very difficult to just stay alive unless you're just souped up badass or have some kind of hidden technique. Well, I didn't. So, you know, 10 hours to fight Bahamut and then lose the whole fucking game because I couldn't even fight the monsters in the last dungeon. They were so hard, so I ran past them, and then I got killed by the final boss and had to start my time over again. So it ended up like, took me like 80 hours to beat this.
So, like, for somebody like me wanting to try these out, what would be the best way to...
Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah, that too. What would be the best way to get them?
Oh, right now, I don't know about the Steam versions. They would throw these games on Steam with like locked 30 frames on 720p. And now whether they went back and patched them, I don't know. The thing is, all of these are backwards compatible, and so I would just get you a cheap 360 copy.
Do it that way.
People talk about there's compression and shit on this one. I don't notice it. There's a lot of sound compression on Final Fantasy 12. They couldn't fit that on the DVD they had for PlayStation, but this one's just 3 disc.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then, but digitally, who gives a fuck? And now whether they've enhanced them and got better frame rate, I don't know. Lightning Returns is pretty damn fun, even with all its flaws. But nobody wanted 13.2. Nobody wanted Lightning Returns because they weren't that happy. We much rather would have had they ended up 14 being MMO. We were like another mainline one.
Yeah.
And we had to wait, and then they turned that Versus 13 into Final Fantasy 15, 8 or 9 years later.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Versus 13 has fucking nothing to do with Final Fantasy 13. Not a damn thing at all. It's in the Christus Nova universe. Who gives a shit? All right.
Well, again, then too, you can't be that freaking convoluted for somebody just starting out too.
Yeah.
Like, here we go, controversy.
Had they ever done something like Final Fantasy 9, which was a throwback, an intentional throwback, they might have picked you up, and they might have picked you up, and they might have picked up a lot of new fans. They borked it.
Well, that's like, so I've never played Kingdom Hearts. So, there's 20 bajillion freaking Kingdom Hearts, then they timeline this, blah, blah, blah. That's overwhelming. Why you gotta be that damn convoluted?
Yeah, some people want to have the story continue. I love that Final Fantasy not only does the gameplay different, but the story different each time. But you have to rebuild the big giant world, which has become a big problem. But okay, so you didn't play Final Fantasy 12. It doesn't make a difference for 13. But I guess on their defense, they made all of those Kingdom Hearts shits games all into a big bundle, and now you can get them on. I don't know what they call it. Kingdom Hearts 1 through 25. It's all together. But would you really want to play them? I think, and a lot of people don't like Kingdom Hearts 3, which just came out on Game Pass, by the way.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you can add that to the games, list of games you ain't gonna play. Because I played the first Kingdom Hearts and I was hilariously unimpressed. I guess if you're a big Disney fan, it means something. Or maybe you, this is one of the first times that like Cloud and Squall have voiceovers and somewhat modern graphics or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Square's, they're kind of just dropping the ball of what you expect from a Final Fantasy. And even though I love 13, I understand exactly why people don't like it. And it's just so bizarre. It's like if you played a ton of RPGs, having something that's goofy and insane, that could be appealing. But no, they should have had something that would bring in fans. They should recognize they're going to bring in fans. And no, they just made some crazy anime bullshit, man. Speaking of anime bullshit,
yes.
I'm a big Dynasty Warriors fan since 4. 4 was what brought me in. I went back and played a little bit of 3, but it was really 4. And then me and Russell would play the shit out of those. And then I dragged in everybody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dragged in. It's like, you're player 2, damn it. Pick one of these 45 people. I don't care. How much of Orochi did you play?
Definitely not as much as you. A decent amount. I can't remember what was going on, and at least I stopped playing the first one. I know you had to do all those crazy things to get some of the special characters, right?
There's a lot to get the characters, and in the first Orochi, Chaos was really rough, but you could break the whole fucking game by being Zhang Liao. And what I loved about Orochi, as opposed to Dynasty Warriors 5, you had the items that you could put in your weapons. Remember, you put ice and fire or shadow and stuff in there.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
Then there was only certain animations, usually on your character's ending move, their triangle move, they would have, and they would apply the elements. And so the elements were so fucking strong when stacked correctly together. You would try to find the way or the character that had the best use of it. Like Guan Ping is Guan Yu's son with a big sword, and then he would use it like 3 times in some of his moves, and it would spin around and hit everybody. But Zhang Liao had it with his just regular Y button would have the shit in it, and he spun him forward like 3 or 4 character screens of forward, and so you just press Y button. You press Y to win.
Y to murder 1,000 peasants.
And you just melt through. You had the team of 3. Remember, you the teams, and so you would put your noob characters in there, and Zhang Liao would go and kill and get weapons for the noob characters.
Exactly, help power them up.
Yep. And then on at least these versions, you shared the team with the other person. So
that's
and
right.
experiences. So you didn't want to both be Zhang Liao at the same time. Because only one of their experience would count. So you'd have one be Zhang Liao, and then the other one be another character. And you'd have probably a noob character as a third person.
Yeah.
And so you didn't actually use the team dynamic when you were playing co-op. Now, Warriors Orochi 2, dude, that game's fucking great. It's a direct, unlike Dynasty Warriors, which redoes the same Romance of the Three Kingdoms stories each time, Orochi 2 is a direct follow-up to Orochi 1. And so you got the Samurai Warriors, you got, Cao Cao and freaking Nobunaga still hate each other or love each other, or, comparing mustaches. It had a campaign for Orochi. He had a campaign.
Yeah.
And so that's how I could be Daji immediately. Mm-hmm. Remember Daji was the jumpy bitch with his spun around?
Yeah.
And, bro, you stacked her ass up with her elements, and then she had one move that just did the spinny jump that would just kill even the last Orochi boss on with all hit points in one hit. It's just make broken shit. They nerfed Zhang Liao, unfortunately. But you just found new broken shit, bro.
Of course, yeah. Well, then, just the playable characters, because you can play as Orochi in that one too, right?
Yeah.
And just different one. He had the big ass scythe, which was cool, and you recycled a lot of the previous characters from the series, but then you come to the chaos characters and all that, where you're just making new ones that would also bring you in, or draw you in.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And then
how they start play might be good. Like Lu Bu's a good character for just swinging and hitting everything, but he might not be the best once you stacked up the stupid shit to the maximum level, and then broke it as much as you could. And then some people you want to have ice to freeze the monster, and then some people you didn't want to have ice because you wanted to hit them and knock them away. And then it didn't have much as far as combat, because it was chaos mode. First hit wins, and so make sure you hit first, then you win. And then if you do get them in the air, they don't never need to hit the ground again.
Yeah. It's just that's what I liked about that too. You could set, or at least that's how I would do it. I would set up my favorite characters with different things. So like Cao P, I would have him ice to freeze the guys, and then go on from that. So it's cool how they developed the game to where you could do that with each one. Make them all generic the same, or tweak them.
Yeah. And I think they've added stuff like that to Dynasty Warriors later. Like in Dynasty Warriors 8, I think added where you put the pieces into the weapons is what makes that game so freaking good. I don't know if you remember Dynasty Warriors 7. We played the shit of that where you took over China.
Yeah.
It did. But a lot of the thing was like if you found a moveset you like, you could give the Flower Girl moveset to Lu Bu if you wanted to, and you just kind of and you ended up playing it as the same character that way. I like this one because even though some characters are shitballs, you had the variety.
Yeah.
And then
and absurdity. You have the one chick that had like a cup and ball. That's
Now, I think if I remember right, Orochi 2 predates Dynasty Warriors 7. But when Orochi 3 came out, that's after 7. And 7 was a really good game. That's when they added, damn it, I can't remember her name. There was, I think it's Wang Yuanji was the emo girl with the scythes that just murder killed. And there was also, no, Wang Yuanji was the girl who shot through the knives. She was a blonde girl with big tits that threw the knives.
Oh, yeah.
and it's a whole new level of making shit insane. Orochi Warriors. I think the only flaw of Orochi Warriors 3 was that it was all in Japanese. The voiceovers were in Japanese. They got lazy. It was too expensive to voice 100 fucking characters. And
well, that's your own fault there.
Yeah.
Cody. Sorry.
So they quit doing it. And I think maybe Dynasty Warriors 9 is in English. No one's gonna play Dynasty Warriors 9 to find out. The last one they did in English was 8, and actually they did Bladestorm Nightmare in English, which surprised me a lot. They were trying to get the Western audience, but they've just been Japanese all the way around. And okay, they're talking all the time while you're doing a bunch of shit, and so it's kind of hard to keep up with the fuck's going on. Especially they're dropping awesome one-liners that you want to read. Besides Officer Defeated, there's plenty of that.
Yes.
But dude, I played the shit out of Orochi 3. We all did. I can't remember if they finally allowed you to be 2 sets of team. I think you could by then. You could be 2 sets of people.
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
But it's been too long, so I don't quite remember.
Of course, True would be Ryu.
Yeah.
And you had the power and the speed and like the technique. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-hmm. The power had the hyper armor, so they wouldn't flinch when they were in their moves, which is good and bad. And then the speed could cancel out of shit real good, especially if they got hit. And I think the techniques had counter hits, or they might have, and maybe not in 3, but that's generally how it works. But as far as Dynasty Warriors, you might want to play 8 Legends to get the actual Romance of 3 Kingdoms story, and then Samurai Warriors 4. Samurai Warriors 4 is fucking great. Otherwise, fucking just play Orochi. Orochi's just, 7,000 characters. You don't know what the fuck's going on. Who cares?
But, yeah, just mindless fun.
That's what I think is the modern day beat 'em up. You're not going to see many final fights or whatever it is again.
Just sad.
You get, what was it, Streets of Rage 4. That one game we played, what was that fucking game called? We played it on Steam.
Yeah.
Fight and Rage.
Fight and Rage. Yeah, that sounds right.
That game was great.
Yeah.
Did dumb shit like Double Dragon 4.
Well, in theory, also, whenever new Battletoads.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
I think it was received kind of poorly. You're gonna have people who want it to be massacre bullshit because that's what's remained. Even though it started off, me and you and Drew played that arcade. It was on Rare Replay. That game was great. I'd never seen it before.
Same here. Because again, back when we were growing up, arcades were fairly plentiful. Never seen it until the Rare Replay, and then shortly after we got that and played the damn thing, I think that popped up on like Angry Video Game Nerd or somebody going to a barcade somewhere, and then boom, there's the arcade cabinet.
Yeah, I don't know about that Battletoads. People don't like that. Wait, it's the art style or something. I'm like, whatever it is, I'm playing it. But good or bad. But that should be this year, man. That should have already been out. Mm-hmm. 360 was a fucking beast system.
Oh yeah,
and
without a doubt.
I think that's the most important generation out of all of them. And a lot of people are going to pick the one that they were familiar with. They're going to say, "Oh, Nintendo is the most important," or Super Nintendo. No, if you look at, you've got the rise of Steam. You've got kind of the condensed thing where all of the games are the same on all platforms. They're not completely different. You got that huge ass just lineage because it's like 2005 to 2013, so it's like the longest generation because of the economy went to shit in 2008.
Yeah, and
so they just kept with the new systems. Then you've got things like Xbox Live and stuff was happening during the original Xbox, but it's day one on 360.
And this is where they pretty much perfected it.
Yeah, and then you didn't have too much lag. The quality of the voice mics and stuff improved. Of course, you had the red rings, but
you did have that, yeah.
Then you had on the PlayStation had the yellow, which was if you had a Fat Boy PlayStation, it was almost certain going to blow up on you. It was a matter of publicity and shit. Then you had the Jasper unit, and then HDMI became a thing, and 1080p became a thing.
And 360 was the one that really held the standard to that, because you look back at a lot of the PS3 things.
They either would be 720p or 480, and you did not have a choice. You could not say, oh, well, some games are 1080p. You look on the back because you wanted to match your TV.
But didn't they have a bunch of like 420 or a 720 and 480i? Not even the P. That would
720p was there, but it might be I instead of PE on the 480.
Yeah.
There was, dude, that PlayStation 3. That's a whole nother video. But while we're here, we're talking about that PlayStation 3 released as shit. Jason, do you remember the controllers didn't have the rumble in them, so they felt like super light?
Yes.
And they were 6-axis, and there were games that made you want to use 6-axis.
No.
no, it sucked. Resistance was cool because you could wave it to set yourself out. If you got caught on fire, you could wave your controller. It was just a gimmick. What was it called? What was that last game that Free Radical did? It was like a dragon type game, and you had to play it with the 6-axis lore or something.
That sounds right. Yeah.
It was. I think it starts with an L, but they fucked that up, and the early. They needed. It ended up being, I would say, Uncharted. And Uncharted took a while for PlayStation to come out of their slump.
Yeah. Well, and then another good thing about the 360, Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, day one at arcade was
great lineup of games. They were constantly adding things. Had pretty damn good quality control. So for the most part, you weren't getting shit. Right now, without owning a main cabinet or the physical arcade cabinet, that's the only way that you can play. Well, of course, the PS3 market also, but that's the only way you can play the Ninja Turtles, Beat 'em Up, X-Men, and The Simpsons.
Yeah. So it's emulator there, and it is technically emulator, but at least it's easily to get to and legal or whatever the fuck.
And other studios, were taking chances on, some cheap games like Small Arms. That was like a $5 game, and we played how much of that?
Shit,
it was great.
Or even something like the ports of Doom. That's when I finally decided, because I was going hacked. I remember I had the CD-ROM hack from day one. I finally decided, you know what, we're going to go legit because this Xbox Arcade was too fucking good to pass up. And then there's games where we didn't even, of course, Castlevania HD, but there was stuff like Spelunky came out as a high definition upgrade just for 360. And it was there for a long time, and now Spelunky's like synonymous with just a famous indie game.
Yeah.
Of course, Microsoft. What was that guy? Don Matic or whatever it is. He eventually is a giant fuck up. Tried to bury Xbox there, because after a while they were just doing their Gears, Halo, and then Forza, and they just kind of forgot. And then they start off Xbox One. That's all they had, and ended up when Phil got there, he was not happy with the games, and he ended up closing. And so much of this Xbox One generation has been where the fuck the game's at, man. And so you had to make Game Pass, and everything's going to be able to backwards compatible. Shit's going to be on PC cross save. You had to come up with these things to have something. So even the 360 is kind of setting that shit in motion, because 360 Microsoft was doing good and they just wrote it out. And so that's how at the end PS3 caught up with them in international sales, mainly from the international.
Yeah.
Because they were putting out their Uncharted 2 and 3s. They were putting out Last of Us, and Microsoft just didn't have anything to answer that.
Yeah, they were saving up.
Yeah, they were saving up for that. What was that? That god awful Dragon Connect game that they really did.
Yeah.
Freaking Dark Days Don't Die 4 episode 1. Oh wait, they're dead all right. They ain't gonna be no episode 2.
Well, we had Dead Rising.
Dead Rising 3 was pretty good.
Launch, and Killer Instinct.
Yeah, the lineup for Xbox One day one beats PlayStation soundly, but the greatness awaits thing starts making in. And so once you got your people knew that there was going to be Uncharted, people knew that there was going to be a Bloodborne. Once Bloodborne came out, it ended up being the nail in the coffin. And never mind that all of those Japanese games would come out and they'd be on PlayStation 4 and not really on Xbox One. And well, back in the day when Xbox One had the most sales, they would make it happen. They would make the ports. Yeah. And so I have fond memories of 360 games. And what we showed here ain't even close to what I got.
Yeah, this is just a lot of it's stuff that we both already have in our collection. I got a lot more at my place that, you know, this was an impromptu video we decided to do, but, you know, it's been a lot of fun. So, you know, we'll have some more of these later on.
And maybe we'll do something, we could just bring up the damn combined, we have a combined digital count. We just bring that shit up and fucking another 15 videos. But this was real fun, Jason. Just reminiscing. And yeah, we'll do some more. Maybe we'll do something about Resident Evil or Castlevania or Doom or something later on.
Oh yeah.